So, I'll introduce the setting a little bit. This is a campaign that I like to call the Cerulean Garden. It is, think of like a colonial Revolutionary War era, our world, so non-magical, no fantasy elements or anything, and more of a generic fantasy world called the Otherworld. And during this event called the Great Steeping, essentially all the occupants of this magical otherworld just seeped in to the Cerulean Garden. So just a well-established, mundane, non-magical world all of a sudden had all sorts of creatures like dragons and all these fantasy races like elves pouring in. And this event only happened about 40 years in the past. So society is still adjusting. Some places are a little more accepting of others, as they call them, and other societies are not. Most of the campaign so far has taken place within the Cerulean Garden. Kind of, I guess that's where all of our party met and came together, overcame some obstacles, usually having to deal with some sort of otherworldly problem within the Cerulean Garden. But where we are right now is no longer in the Cerulean Garden. It is a fragment, a memory, so the sort of demi-plane of the other world. And it's a snapshot of this location called Thalas Ashana, which in the Jalaran tongue, Jalaran meaning blood elf, means the domain of darkness, which is the home of one of our player characters here. And so I guess with that, Tyler, would you like to introduce your character?
Yes, I'm playing Lady Roksana Demir. I'm essentially a Jalaran noble or a vampire noble in this setting. She is one of 13 children, 4 daughters, and she is one of the preeminent families of the Shadow Spire, her father being an esari, which is like one of the ruling classes of the Jalaran. Roxana was raised in overwhelming splendor, and her family sort of basking in the millennia-long trifles into the Elven lands. And we've seen a bit of her family dynamics. They're relatively ruthless. Right now, they're in a sort of in a moot, which is like a blood competition where you have to slay your siblings in order to get ahead and to ascend to the position of esari. But yeah, we've really just been exploring her sort of home plane of Thalas Ashana and taking part in this game to ensure her ascension.
Very true. And kind of going through this moot and peeling back the surface layer. Oh, who's echoing? Chris.
Yeah.
I think you were echoing for a second. Peeling back the surface layer, there seems to be something else going on with the moot and in Thalas Ashana in general, as sort of that smoking gun, Roxana's father dying, seems to not even be true. While they haven't seen him yet physically, there's ample evidence to suggest that Lord Venali Demir yet lives, and worse yet, he may be a full-blooded vampire. Alright, so with that, let's kick it to... How about Ryan? Want to introduce your character? It'll be a pretty big change of tone here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Whereas Tyler's generally like super flushed out, super serious, intricate background. I'm playing a cleric named Derek. Derek Wolford.
Derek the cleric.
Cleric Wolford. Derek was the firstborn of 3 to the Wolford family, where they live in Glaston, one of the capitals of the Triumvirate. He is pretty run-of-the-mill human cleric. At a young age, he wanted to adventure, and so he quite frequently ventured from his family shop in the middle of the poorer part of Glaston and would explore the forests and try to chase animals and capture them. But as he grew up, his parents forced him to basically take up the family business. And since then, he's been well known as even a poorer social status in the in Glaston to help the nobles, help the poor, pretty much a melting pot of a medicine. So
Yep. So yeah, Derek is a very kind-hearted human cleric who maybe he and his family's penchant for helping all, even the more downtrodden, has sort of caused their family status to lower over time, and that's one of Derek's things, right? Is he's trying to find a way to really boost his family status again and kind of help their overall goal, which some progress has been made in pursuit of that goal. All
Yep.
right, moving on. How about Caleb? Who do we have here?
I'm just a boy. I am Thomas Oker. Like I said, I'm just a boy. Just now recently, I have been released from some of my bodily confinements, as I used to be part of a four-beinged body, four minds in it. And now I'm free, and I can finally grow like a normal boy.
I'm a real
Into
boy.
my hopefully latter teenage years and survive all these horrors. Beyond that, I have some psychic powers that those people imbued unto me, and that merger, which occurred during the merge that was being talked about earlier. Yeah, they their memories will stay forever, or at least until I use them to my own benefit.
Yep. So yeah, once four-player characters reduced to one, all psychic powers like a Scion class.
Shout out Goliath token Olimar.
Yep. Only yes, very
Peppering
recent
out.
development that the other three minds inhabiting your body have been, I guess, reduced to just memories of who they were. You're currently holding on to their memories. They're not really full consciousnesses right now, but the hopes are that perhaps you can find a place to put them because, at least for right now, Thomas sees them as lives worth holding on to. So we'll see if he's able to accomplish that goal of putting them somewhere where they can live out the rest of their lives.
You can't change back into them anymore, can you? I feel like I missed that
No,
session.
he cannot. He
Damn.
has not been one of them for such a long time. All right, and speaking of which, Jose, would you like to introduce your character?
Yeah. About my character. He's an Osmar named Asura. I can't believe I almost forgot you until I just woke up. He woke. I think he's second generation Asimar in Cerulean Garden. His parents were part of the other world. And then
Well,
when
at
the
least
great
his dad was.
at minimum his dad was. And then when the great steeping happened, he was the first Asimar born in the Cerulean Garden. And he grew up in a very not otherworlder friendly nation. So he spent most of his life hiding his powers and abilities. And then one day his parents just up and disappeared, and there are two versions of Osmar normally. There's the good ones who tend to have white feathers, and the more evil oriented ones, which are they normally have black feathers to signify their darker tendencies. So one day he went home, and then like his parents were both gone, and there was just a pile of black feathers all over his house. So that was sort of his trigger to set off on this journey to find out what the hell happened to his parents. And he's met them both, but I guess they're on opposing sides now, and his dad is like working with Roxana's dad somehow, and they're both being big bad daddy boys. So yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Yep. And yeah, as you said, did not grow up in a very otherworlder friendly place. A nation called Travail, where
That's what
they
it
would
was.
often find excuses to persecute and often execute otherworlders just on a whim. So yeah, good that he got out of there to the triumvirate, as Ryan said earlier, which is much more accepting of otherworlders, at least in an official sense. All right, I guess we'll move on to Chris now. Would you like to introduce your character? You might be muted because you were echoing before. Also, I just got a... No, we cannot hear you, Chris. But I suppose while you're fixing your audio...
You guys hear me
Oh, yeah, we
now?
can hear you now, actually. Nice.
Okay, I was switching my mic input, I guess. Oh, okay. So I play a character called Elijah Balco, formerly the owner of the Maiden's Den in Glaston. He was known as the courtesan. He was kind of the background influence within the city, and that all was taken away from him by a cloud of ash with glowing eyes. And since then, he's been trying to seek revenge and get back what he has lost. And yeah.
Yeah, so Elijah, owning the Maiden's Den, a brothel in that city of Glaston that Derek is also from. And right before starting on his journey, as he said, a cloud of ash, which was later to be revealed as like a great drake called Ansel Agar, was the one who burned down the city and destroyed his place of business. And actually, in our most recent arc before this one, the party was able to expel this dragon from Glaston, sort of freeing part of the city from its rageful reign. So, I guess we'll move on to our newest addition to the party. Jimmy, would you like to introduce your character?
Yeah, so Jan is a sort of like a bounty hunter.
Test.
Like-
Sorry,
and-
testing.
He, after the Great
Okay.
Steeping, he sort of lived in this town called Temesvar. He was like your kind of like, I guess, security guard against all the more aggressive monsters that came in after the Great Steeping. There was like this town full of humans, and then one day, while he was out on a hunt, he came back and they're all dead, all slaughtered. So he got a tip from an informant that someone named Songbird would be able to tell him who or what did that. So he went to this play where Songbird was, and met the rest of the party, and learned that the person who killed this whole town was Roksana. So now he's kind of infiltrated the party, and he's not allowed to kill her until a certain point. So he's just biding his time.
Yep, so as a part of the deal to obtain the information on who killed Jan's entire village, this Songbird figure made sort of this stipulation as part of the deal that, and it is magically binding, that Jan cannot harm Roxana until Songbird himself releases him from this pledge. So we'll see what comes of it if that pledge or that agreement is ever lifted. See what sorts of shenanigans we'll get into between Jan and Roxana. But we are missing one tonight, so we'll introduce him at another point. But for now, we have Roksana Demir, the Jalaran rogue. Derek, the cleric, human. We have Thomas Oker, the human scion. I mean, he's basically just a human scion at this point. I see you shaking your head. He still has the features of a doppelganger. That's what a doppelganger is in this world. It's multiple minds packed into one body. And then we have Asura, the Osimar warlock. We have Elijah Balka, the mostly human appearing but changeling sorcerer. And then we have Jan van Jaeger, the bugbear barbarian. And out of all of those, I think it would be just a little important to note which of these like races are more indigenous to the Cerulean Garden and which are more indigenous to the other world. So for the Ceruleans, we more or less have Derek, Thomas, and Elijah. Somewhat. Changelings are a magical race, but only came about because of the Great Steeping. Both of his parents were indeed human. And then we have Asura, we have Jan, and Roksana here that are more otherworldly races. So Jalaran again are blood elves. It's just kind of like the elvish way of saying that. So Jalaran, and then Bugbear and Osimar. All right. So everyone gets inspiration for this session for giving us just the background on all of their characters.
Nice.
Nice.
There's a reason why I said no one say anything when Ryan asked a question earlier. We're gonna have
Oh,
a little quiz for today, and the
Oh,
reward
jeez.
for you guys are 9th level, so the reward for answering
2 levels.
this quiz correctly will be you get 9 temporary HP.
Oh,
Oh.
The question is, and you can and
good
no,
prize.
not allowed to collaborate. Send me the answers over Discord or by text or whatever. The question is, what
somebody has lotion
is
in their hand.
today's session number?
It was hand sanitizer.
Oh, I fucking what, bro? Do you have time to count how many journal entries I
Caleb,
have?
Thomas gets 9 temporary HP.
I'm pretty sure that's wrong. But
Jose, you
Chris,
do
you don't-
not. Ryan, Derek gets
I didn't
9
think so.
temporary HP.
Chris, you don't number your sessions? What the hell?
I only started
That's okay if you don't get it right. Like it's not. These aren't meant to be like they're easy questions. These are more fun for me to see.
Well, I
shit.
what
it
sorts
looks
of
like,
things you guys as
it looks like
players
I
latch
did
onto.
number them, and then I just stopped for whatever reason. I feel like I missed a
I feel
couple.
like Caleb's kind of like smiling to himself a little bit with this one.
I'll
I'll
Yes,
give you
I
guys
did,
about.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
All
I don't
right.
mind not knowing
I
this.
think we're
after
just
knowing the
waiting
last
on
I don't think-
answers from
I don't know, I
Tyler.
stopped numbering
Tyler, I
them.
think you're the last one.
I know. I don't
Math,
have it.
Tyler.
I don't.
Math.
I know. I was trying to figure that out. You know what? It's session 1 of the recording. All right.
Let's go.
It's great. It's great.
If you choose for that to be your answer, then I'll give you 4 temporary hit points.
Let's go. Let's
Instead,
go.
okay. So the 2 people who answered correctly are
Caleb.
Ryan and Caleb. So
Nice.
Derek and Thomas each get 9 temporary HP. Would one of you guys like to share what session number it is? And there's a reason why I asked this question.
Is it 69?
It is session 50 of the campaign.
I was
Oh
wide
shit! Oh shit!
I missed
It is
3
a-
sessions. That makes sense. That makes
So,
sense.
Seth,
It is a
Wow,
big
that's
milestone
crazy.
session.
That's wild.
Seth,
That's
I
how I
remember
was-
you. I remember you talking about the 50th session last week, but I
Yes.
thought that week was the 50th session, which is why I
Yeah,
said
yeah,
51.
it's-
I'm so mad.
I was
That's
advertising it coming up today. So
Fuck.
yeah,
So bad.
no reason to get down on yourself if you don't get it.
I was
There's no
close.
rhymer. I mean, obviously there was a reason why I asked this question today because 50 is kind of cool, but
Yeah, that's awesome.
no pressure or anything with any of these questions that I asked. They're just fun. I like seeing what you guys latch on
Oh,
to
God,
as players.
he's gonna rewrite our roll code now to be Slightly worse.
All right, so let's
Minus
let's
50.
tune back in. So where we last left off. So I'm gonna pull this up here.
The Alaskan bullworm.
We
It's
last
canon.
left off in
Oh.
Drovir territory, this snowy, rocky, almost mostly barren mountain range on the
It was the
fringe of Thalas Ashana.
It was the secret tunnel, wasn't it?
Secret
It was the secret
tunnel.
tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
At the behest of the leader of the Drovir clan, Adroxa, you all went to the old capital, or began making our way to the old capital of the Drovir territory. The Drovir, kind of the history with them is that they are just one of the kind of like they were like an Esari clan. So as Tyler mentioned earlier, the Esari are like the high nobles of Jalaran society. They own large swaths of land and everything. Roksana's family is the Demir family, so her quote-unquote late father, Venali Demir, was an Esari, and that's what the mood is all about. It's assuming the role of Esari. The Drovir, as we have learned, are really only an Esari like clan or family in title at this point. One of their Esari way back then was a man named Odrakthir, and he began waging war on a bunch of other Esari families, and they kind of ended up getting crushed. And Odrakthir's wife, Adroxa, ended up killing him, or at least she thought she killed him, in order to get all of the approaching armies to show mercy on the Drovir. So essentially, they were stripped of status. A lot of their culturally significant places, such as their old capital, were laid to waste. And most importantly, their military was disbanded. No longer could the Esari of the Drovir command a standing army. Instead, any and all Drovir militants would need to become contract killers. So they're actually sort of a clan of assassins at this point. And they cannot be formally commanded into battle by their leader. It's sort of a position of respect at this point. She can't command them to do anything, but they might do things for her out of their own free will. But apparently this Odrakthir figure, Adroxa's husband and former Esari of the Drovir, is coming back. He is a vampire who Adroxa thought she had killed, but is returning and is wreaking havoc in Drovir territory. She has set you guys on a quest to find a way to eliminate Odrakthir, the most important piece of this puzzle being finding what thing anchors Odrakthir to this domain and destroying it so that he can be killed for good. You are all making your way down to the old capital where such information might be found. This mystery of how to destroy him or how to figure out where to find his anchor, and came across what was supposed to be the sole or the final guard post, which should have been manned to this final checkpoint to get into the old capital. But when the party arrived, no guards answered, and it was soon discovered that a large, or I should say gargantuan, purple worm had consumed what guards remained there. And this purple worm sicked itself on the party, but through some clever tactics and distractions, I don't think it was able to harm a single person in the party before boring back into the mountainside and within its own tunnel revealing a smaller tunnel, a secret tunnel that seems to go deep into the mountain. Yeah, it is kind of an unintentional unintentional Avatar reference there. So as you are all here at this mountain pass and this new tunnel revealing itself and peeking and peering in, it appears to be much smaller, perhaps tread by people instead of gigantic worms. What do you all do?
Perception check.
All right, what are you trying to get out of this perception check? Just
Well-
to gauge what's down there, or
Yeah, I just want to see how far it goes down, if there's any like odd marks on the wall, or if there's any like particular footprints. You know, any visual cues.
Okay. Go ahead and make a perception check with advantage because you are specifically talking about visual cues and you have a magic item that gives you advantage on perception checks.
Yeah.
All right, pretty good. Looking into this
Nice.
tunnel, it does get dark deeper down, so you'll probably need some light source there, but it is at a very shallow decline into the mountain.
Oh, wait. Can I? Oh wait, no. Can I? Before I do the perception check, can I cast light on like a rock and throw it down there?
Sure.
Would that help me?
Yeah. So you go ahead and cast light, and or even better yet, if like somebody had a bow or something, cast light on an arrow and shoot it down.
Oh,
It
I've
does
got one of
appear
those.
to just go down into the further into the mountain, although again at a very shallow decline, and it looks small enough to accommodate humanoids. Really, it seems to be somewhat naturally formed, but examining some of the walls, you do see there are markings from perhaps pickaxes that were used to maybe clear some of the more narrow spaces in here. So it seems as if it was at least partially carved
Man-made.
out. Yeah, partially man-made. So it seems to be a place that was designed to be foot trafficked through. And I'll remind you all that what details Adroxa gave you were very sparse. She seemed to only have a general indication that what you were looking for, or what she would like you to look for, is in the old capital. So, for whatever reason, there is little information provided by her. And Adroxa being actually a dragon, it does strike you as maybe a little strange that she herself hasn't really gone down there, but she does know of its existence and seems to think that's the place that you all would find the necessary information to defeat and permanently kill Odrakthir.
Oh wait, we've got the soldier. We've got the assassin guy with us, right?
Yes, you do have a nameless assassin with you, who serves as a guide, who says, "No, this is a surprise for me. I know nothing of tunnels going into the mountain that are tread by us Jalaran. I only knew of the worms. Perhaps it is worth investigating, though, if...
Question: Does
if
it
you
look
think you would find something down there.
Does it look like what naturally eroded the tunnels before the people did the pickaxing on thin air? Was it water, or was it like a different creature, or like maybe a smaller worm?
It's a
or
good
something?
question. Make a nature check. Very few nature checks have been made on this campaign.
What I was honestly going to be bidding for, so that's sweet. Nature check.
Oh,
18. Right now, you don't see physically what has carved this out, but from various markings on the floor of the tunnel, it does appear to have been water, whether it be from melting snow and ice, or perhaps there was a naturally flowing water source, maybe like the beginnings of a stream that would feed into a river or something. So the natural portion does seem to be water, so water would have led down into this tunnel at one point or another.
All right, yeah. Guys, I mean, we could probably follow this. It probably just leads to some more water somewhere.
I mean, there's no objections on my end.
Seems like
No
a good
objections here.
Derek takes a step into the tunnel.
It collapses.
Rocks
died.
fall, everybody dies. Classic D&D campaign ending. Yeah, you step into the tunnel. Are you gonna lift a torch or cast light or something? To
Yeah, I'm gonna light my torch and start.
light your
going.
torch. Take a
There,
few
are there?
steps
Is
in.
it like the end of a tunnel, or is it like split off left and right?
It is actually split off to like the other side as well. So maybe not it's kind of, if I were to try to describe this, think of it as just a passageway that's just hidden from the exterior of the mountainside.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of follows the side of the mountain a little bit. In one direction, it's very close to the surface.
Yep.
And in the direction pointing down, it appears to be turning more so in towards the mountain.
It's probably the direction we should go.
Yeah, I would say in towards the mountain.
Okay. Are there any objections for traveling into the mountain?
Nah.
Asra looks at Roxana.
I just have a question before we proceed. So
Sure.
you mentioned the water erosion, but does this seem like a natural tunnel or like a man-made tunnel?
It's kind of a combination of both.
Okay.
As with Ostra's check, it seems to be originally a natural forming tunnel that has evidence of I guess Jalaran kind of clearing out perhaps more narrow passages to make it more easily walkable at one point or another.
And second question, do I gather that this place is underground that she wants us to go to? Or is this just the passageway through?
She has given you little detail, but from what your guide has said, he said that the old capital was down the road that you were traveling on when you reached that checkpoint. So if you were to go by the most basic and literal directions, it would have been continuing to go down that mountainside path that would lead you to the old capital. However, this passage seems to, I guess, in some way or another, parallel that direction. So the passage that you were on kind of winds around the side, and this kind of goes a little more in towards the center of the mountain, but similarly winds around to sort of fit the mountain's form.
Yeah, I'll say, perhaps this is an old passage that these ancient Shalaran used to make their way quickly to the city. I am fine with exploring it, if that's what all of you wish to do.
Right then.
Lead on.
All right.
After you, Derek.
The cleric going first.
Walking down the
Always a
tunnel,
smart idea.
illuminated by various light spells and torches, you begin making your way down, and soon, very soon, the light from the outside which is mainly dim light in the first place, being in Thalas Ashana, being the domain of darkness, kind of in the state of perpetual like dawn, or maybe not dawn, dusk or twilight. It's never like truly day. You never see the sun in the sky, only the moons. The exterior natural lighting dissipates very quickly. But as with Thomas's notion of this being naturally formed, more evidence of that begins to show itself as little ice puddles can be seen on the floor here, maybe at one point or another. This was more freely flowing, but if temperatures dropped, it is freezed, or perhaps the source of this water has dried out. Maybe the original pathway, or like somewhere further up the path, was blocked. For whatever reason, the water stagnated and came to a rest here and eventually froze in place. And there are little bits of frost on the walls of the cavern, and just this very faint echo of your footsteps, that reverberation that you hear as you move throughout. I'll tell you this straight up. This is a much safer way to get where you're going, as these purple worms like to ambush travelers on the surface. They don't really get as good of like vibrations carrying to them in like this further down, like denser rock. It's harder for them to detect your movement, so you're more concealed from natural predators, being, I guess, closer to where their tunnels would normally be. But you continue down. And this goes on for probably, I want to say, the better part of an hour, 45 minutes or so. And eventually, the puddles of ice and frost are no longer there. And instead, you begin to see evidence of condensation, and these ice puddles now rest as liquid water. And you can actually feel that the air is warmer and more livable. And even further evidence of this would be that of moss and lichens beginning to form on the sides of the cave. And this is weird, especially in Drovir territory, which is normally covered in snow and ice. You haven't traveled far enough to be in a warmer climate within Thalas Ashana, but natural light seems to be pouring in from some mouth or exit. And going up this slightly steeper incline at the very end, you can see where this opens out into a secret, hidden mountain oasis, where there are actually there's greenery and trees and the remnants of what appear to have been buildings.
Man, this
You
art
see
is
Derek
crazy.
Get distracted.
Yeah, this is
he starts
cool.
looking at all the plants.
Stone
herbs.
yeah, okay. You can go ahead and let's go ahead and make like a
Rock and stone.
do you have proficiency in nature?
I do.
All right. And you also definitely have proficiency in medicine, so I'll give you a nature check with advantage. Because I know you're looking for like medicinal purpose things.
16.
All right. You find all sorts of new plants that you've never seen, and you've been in Thalas Ashana for over a month at this point. And you haven't seen any of these plants in Thalas Ashana either.
Oh.
Interestingly enough, whether it be from, I don't know, ice further up, so like in this concept art you see like this source of water, not where you came from, but far above you, whether it be like light refracting off of the ice or something, it gives this impression, despite being within a mountain and like underground at least partially, that this is like daylight. It's warm light, which is the first warm light you have seen in a long time.
Interesting.
It's
because it's perpetually night.
Yep, it seems to be
I forget
like
that sometimes.
temperate and just this overall feeling of warmth that carries with it. Which, for those of you who aren't indigenous to Thalas Ashana, so everybody except for Roksana and like Artiber, who's with you right now, it would be kind of a breath of fresh air. It's still a little brisk. You can still feel the occasional draft or breeze of cold mountain air coming in, but the temperature within here, and perhaps like again the light refracting, actually creates a much warmer space for greenery to grow in.
Something isn't right about this place. None of this is native to this plane at all.
I don't recognize it as cerulean, so it has to be from this place, Roksana.
Yeah, I guess Roksana, you can actually make a history check.
Cool.
None of this is from the cerulean, as he's like pushing herbs
Whoa!
into his herb pack.
24. Derek's words carry some truth to them. These definitely aren't cerulean, but they definitely aren't modern Jalaran either.
Yeah.
They appear to be an antiquated or just like much more ancient form of architecture.
Does it
One
look
of those steel terrariums.
does it look elven by nature?
Oh.
Actually, yeah, it does look a lot more
Let's go.
akin to other elven architecture. So not Jalaran, but primarily Eladrin, so like high elven architecture. It looks a lot more similar to that. Yeah, that 24 definitely can get you that information. And it definitely seems ancient. So one of two things is what you're kind of getting here. It's either there was some society of high elves that lived wherever Thalas Ashana is, or perhaps sometime in like the ancient past, the Jalaran's architecture more resembled that of Eladrin, instead of like the more gothic, like Curse of Strahd style, like Castlevania architecture.
All of this seems to either be far more ancient than anything I've encountered, or Eladrin in nature. I have some knowledge of it because my family became wealthy through our ventures to the Eladrin lands, and the conflicts we started therein. But I have never seen anything like this in this plane. And she's sort of lost in it a bit. As much as it is wondrous, it's also a bit concerning for her in some ways.
Yeah, it would definitely be off-putting, seeing an architecture resembling that of what is conventionally the enemy of Jalarans. So, yeah, being on guard is well warranted in Roksana. But other than the presence of the architecture, you can see that it's ruinous. It's not lived in at all. Hasn't been for quite some time by the looking at its state of disrepair. And you think about it, war that Adroxa spoke of, and everything with like Odrakthyr being a vampire, Adroxa being a dragon, all of these events could have happened a very, very long time ago. Maybe even like perhaps in more of like an infantile state of Jalaran society. So maybe it's a possibility that this is the old capital that Adroxa was referring to.
We could be stumbling upon the city itself in this very cavern. But why is there this level of growth here? It must be some kind of recollection of the place, or somewhere else bleeding into this place. As I change out my camera battery.
Oh no.
We get the freeze frame of Tyler in the Discord.
The thinking face.
Looks like you're about to choke yourself. Kind of hot.
Hot.
Okay. I think, even though Roxana's a little trepidatious about this.
Good word. Good word.
Thank you. There, again, doesn't seem to be, other than like the existence of this, like, as I put it, oasis here. Everything else seems to be abandoned, long abandoned. No signs of recent life here, but a general pathway that kind of leads upwards, and it kind of winds back and forth to climb up this pseudo cliff within the cave system. It seems like this is perhaps a residential area of whatever settlement was here, but perhaps there's more to investigate further on. But if any people would like to just like run investigation checks to see what sorts of things they can find, or if you have like a specific question you would want answered as you go up
Why not?
Dad.
here. Don't know, Thomas.
Oh, hang on. Wait. What do you say? Investigation?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm +8. I should totally do that. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yo.
How do I have +8? What the fuck? I can't remember why I have that, but I do.
I think
I have
I
expertise.
yeah, I gave you the skill expert feat at one point, I think.
Yes, you did.
You got some
Oh no,
expertise
everybody. I think it was like an option that I gave or something. In like the month of downtime that you all had.
Oh,
when
that's
you
right.
First
That's right. That's
coming
right.
here, you could like get expertise in a skill. I think. Asura, I would say that what you find going up here is that, kind of as I said before, this seemed to have been more of a residential place,
Mhm.
and more importantly, it looks like there's no evidence of bodies or anything here. More so, it seems that this place was just up and abandoned at one point or another. It's not like it's not like a Pompeii type situation where there's just like corpses around or anything.
Are there signs of like a battle? There battle signs?
No signs of any sort of violence or battle.
Oh, so they just left.
Yep. However, despite there being no signs of battle, at least between people, a lot of the destroyed buildings appear to have been, or at least some of them, some of the wear and tear seems to have been dealt by tools of some sort, like they were destroyed on purpose.
Oh, interesting.
But
can we venture further in? Like, can I enter one of the buildings?
Yeah. Actually, it's like very easy to access these buildings. Again, there's very little signs of anything. Even like personal effects, there's not really many of those. So you're kind of gathering this information, thinking perhaps all these people like fled, like they knew something was coming, and after they had already fled, these buildings were torn down, at least to some extent. But venturing further up the path, again, winding back and forth, it's, again, a little off-putting because you're underground, but you see fully grown adult trees lining this path on occasion, and it's uncanny in a way. Knowing that you're in what should be a confined space, but it feeling open with the presence of such grand nature. You continue winding and winding, eventually filtering out into it kind of plateaus off. So in this artwork, what you see is like these waterfalls coming down. Pretty much if you were to like reach the top of that, where there's a small river just streaming down and splitting off into these waterfalls. There's more of these ruins that you can see. But standing starkly against all of these ancient buildings is one of the same architectural style, but entirely preserved. Crafted of, at least the exteriors being crafted of marvelous white stone. And I guess the best way to put it is it's probably about 3 stories tall, in sort of a circular shape. Built as kind of like a weird castle, more or less. It doesn't seem to be actually defending anything, but there are 3 distinct smaller towers in what would be like the front. So you have I guess where like the entrance would be is just one tower, and then there's one tower to either side of that, and the central tower forms a dome, and you can see poking out of this dome is a telescope, like a large telescope. Even from, I guess it wouldn't be like a huge distance, but it's quite obvious that this is some sort of observatory, some place of study for the stars. And at the back end of this building is a much larger dome.
So there's what, this Hubble telescope sitting up top here?
Yeah, and then like between all these towers are, this is why I said it's kind of castle-like, are these like stone walls that connect all of them, almost like the ramparts to a castle.
Is there an obvious entryway that we can see?
Yeah, it's that first central tower where the actual observatory is. You can see that the observatory takes up the like the top floor of the central tower, but it appears there's an entryway at the ground floor level.
Alright, well, I mean, we're already here. So, Astra will cautiously start making his way towards the entrance, I think.
Okay, if you say cautiously, do you want to like stealth check or?
Why not?
Who's
Why not?
echoing? Is that me?
Oh, never mind. It's useless.
Alright.
I'm just gonna walk.
If anybody wants to make stealth checks, they may.
I'm making
And
a
if more than one person, if everyone makes a stealth check, then I'll just go off of like the group average.
Yeah, we should do that.
Okay.
We should definitely do that. Everybody roll
Oh
Oscar,
my
you
god!
You just
I'm
stink,
just bad.
Oscar.
I'm just
Yo.
bad.
Alright, I need to. I need to check something real quick.
That is a high average.
Alright. And who's like taking point right now?
I think Oscar, right?
Asura.
You'll be
So you can make a we'll say a perception check with advantage.
Okay, we can do that.
Just to like see if like this is
see, see what we can see.
if there's anything
Wow,
like, moving
trash.
or approaching or anything. Okay, let me
Brother.
get this.
Rough.
Let me get this average real quick.
Uh-oh. 18 plus 22 is 40, plus 20 is 60, 56, 66, 72,
It's
79.
Like 73 or 17.3 continuing is like your average. So we'll round down to 17 in normal D&D fashion. Okay. You approach. Don't see anything. Any movement or anything on any of the ramparts. There are scant windows other than like the actual dome of the observatory where the telescope is poking out from. But other than this place seeming to be, intact, lived in, like it's not completely destroyed or ancient looking, it seems to be current. Although the architecture itself resembles that of the destroyed, ruinous buildings surrounding it. It's almost inviting in a way. It's like a beacon of light in the middle of this dead place. And as you approach, like the whole party's kind of taking like cover behind or under like trees and things and kind of just eyeing it around. And if you wanted to, you could even like take a full 360 around if you want to, like go around this whole compound, this whole structure. It doesn't seem to be like very large as a whole. Like if we're just picturing this as like a circle, because it's kind of circular, it seems to be like maybe 150 feet in diameter. So you could like take some time to case the place and look around if you'd like. Do you want to just approach the front, or would you want to like kind of case it first?
The preservation on the marble, if I inspect it, does it look like it was preserved magically, or is it just like very well kept, as if like someone was into here and probably taking care of it? That's
an interesting question. I'll let you either make a nature check or an arcana check based on like the nature of your question.
Oh, I got a 2. I rolled a 2. I'm upset.
Oh, you have good arcana too. That's cool.
I have expertise in arcana. That was so
But
sad.
he shrugs.
Actually, it's not difficult to tell that it must be some sort of arcane upkeep.
Mhm.
There's not even like especially because you're not hearing anything, you're not seeing any movement or anything like on the ramparts, like and the fact that there's in any of the surrounding buildings there's nothing either. It's weird. Like there can't be many people around here, and it seems to be upkept well. There's like not even dust or grime or even like moss collecting at the base of this thing. Like it's obvious to you that it is magically being kept clean in some way. Perhaps like an upscaled version of the prestidigitation spell.
At the same time, Roksana will try to rack her brain if, like, was there some sort of, like, cataclysmic event that took down this city, or was it just, like, time itself?
Well, you can go ahead and make a history check with advantage if you'd like.
Yeah.
Because because this is, like, you already have some information, and we're, like, putting more together at this point. So I guess you wouldn't have much information to go off of as to, like, what, like, at least in your written histories, like, what did this. But if you were to go off of the assumption that this is like the old capital, perhaps. That what Adroxa had told you is that the old capital was like destroyed by like the pretty much like by Jalad and like Rostohur and the armies and everything.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes
Kind
sense.
of just as to make an example of the Drovir.
Oh yeah,
It was
okay, that
it
makes
was a whole
sense.
part. It was a whole part of like their surrender and just like pretty much just crushing and crippling the Drovir as a family and as a clan and as a power. Like that was part of it. So if you were to go off of that assumption, the abandoned nature of this and like evidence of some of these buildings being destroyed by like demolished by tools and everything would coincide with that, I suppose.
Gotcha.
But do you guys want to do you want to go straight in from the front? Do you want to look around? Do you want to try to approach it a different way? Like it would only take like 5 to 10 minutes to actually like at least examine and like its entire exterior.
Yeah, I think Roxana will do so. She'll sort of case the joint, and just see if there are any other entrances, other areas enemies could potentially come from, that kind of thing.
Okay. Now, as you walk around this place, perhaps like not all of you guys moving around, some of you just like staying still and like low and behind cover, like under trees and whatnot. Just a few of you, so like Roxana and Asura maybe, going around in these connecting walls between all the towers. Well, the towers themselves don't appear to have any like windows on the ground floor. The towers do appear to have some small windows on like the second floor, so right above the ground floor. And these walls between them appear to be walkable, and you can see that the walls are actually hollow, so not really as defensive as you would have thought. They're hollow and seem to be more so like passageways from tower to tower. Perhaps it's just like shelter from elements or whatever it might be. And they seem to be upkept and clean as well, because these windows in like the actual wall are accessible from the ground floor. And yeah, it seems to be rather clean and immaculate. I guess the one thing that you would notice, or I guess there's two things. First thing is that these hallways seem to be illuminated by some like cold blue light, or I guess like more so like cold isn't like the proper way. It's almost like a like just like a harsh blue LED sort of light. So these sorts of arcane lightings, and you can actually see through the window, across the hallway, and through other window. It appears that in the center of this compound is like a nice courtyard. There are like these pink blossoming trees, a couple of statues, which it's hard to see like what exactly they're depicting, but there's one like large statue in the middle of this courtyard, at least from what you can see, that is depicted with like these massive wings. And going further around to the back of this building, the back of the building being like this much larger dome, there are more ground floor windows, and you peer in, and it appears to be just a large stone circular room. There's some supportive columns just to offer like a structural support to the room, and it seems to depress a little bit, so it looks like there's like a small flight of stairs that leads down into like I guess like a second tier of the room. So think of it as more of like a bowl than just a circular room. And in like this lower portion, there appear to be some sorts of like sigils on the ground.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
They
can
look
I
magical.
can I read what they say?
Oh, that too.
From this distance, no, you cannot. I mean, they look to be like very obviously like some sort of arcane or like magical sigils, but they're pretty
Even-
like complex in pattern and shape.
Even
Actually,
with the
actually,
mantle?
yeah. Wait, the mantle does it? It has something about like seeing things from far away, right?
Yeah. In conditions of clear visibility, you can make out details of even extremely distant creatures and objects as small as 2 feet across.
Okay. I would say
Check if it's
these.
magical.
Yeah, you could definitely. I'll let you make an Arcana check.
I also have Eyes of the Runekeeper, if that means anything to you.
You can read all writing.
I can read all writing.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let you in. It's like
Yeah!
it's arcane writing. I will reward for Eyes of the Runekeeper. That's sick.
The first time I've
Just
gotten to use that.
based on like looking into this window, and
Yep.
that it kind of goes downward, right?
Mm.
You can only really see like a few of the symbols like that are farthest away from you.
Right.
But you can assume that there's more symbols like closer to you as well, but just based on
Mhm.
like the angle, you can only make out a few of the further ones.
Yeah.
I'll say that you can see easily make out 3 of them, and you notice that they're actually symbols representing schools of magic.
Oh, that's sick.
It's a puzzle.
And the
We have to cast
the
a type of
furthest
spell.
there's so like the furthest one from you is marking the School of Enchantment, and then like if you're just from your orientation to the right of that one and like a little closer to you is the School of Transmutation, and to the left of that original one a little closer to you is the School of Illusion.
Damn, I don't have any of those. Well, I do, but they're all like 4th level spells, and I don't want to use the spell slot.
What do I got? Let's see.
And like peering in again, there's no signs of like people in there or anything.
Oh, so what, can I walk to a spot where I can see more roads?
Actually, yeah, I'd say based on what I'm seeing right now, you'd be able to make out 2 more of those. Because there are several windows that you can use to peer into this room.
Right.
But there might be more that are closer to you that you can't see. So I guess just keep going around. So we'll say like there's the far one, and then clockwise one was yeah, I know it's confusing.
Can we draw on the map?
Yeah, let me tune into you guys right now.
Tune in.
I guess I'll relay all this to whoever's around. Those symbols on the ground.
They look like magic symbols.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah.
From what I can understand, they represent a different school of magic.
Yeah, this will definitely be easier.
I can't believe all of my kit came up to this one moment. That's
So
great.
can you see that drawing?
Yes, circle.
All right, so that's a circle there. We'll say that there's. Whoops, that looks like shit. All right, there we go. You got like one symbol here.
He's making a magic circle. That's crazy.
You got one here. And this is like all from like your first angle that you looked at these. This is what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are the 5 symbols that you're getting.
Okay.
That's cool.
So I guess starting from like the leftmost one and going clockwise. I need to mentally orient myself. So starting with the leftmost and going clockwise is evocation.
Ooh. I got those.
Then illusion. Then enchantment.
Mm-hmm.
And then transmutation. And then the rightmost one is abjuration.
Can I try casting what's one of these that I can see?
I will remind you that you're looking through a window right now,
Oh,
which is like
shit.
technically cover for like casting spells.
Yeah,
We
but
open
Or I guess it's like a little. The rules are a little vague, but
I ignore half
Open
cover with the
window.
magic.
like if
wand,
you're
so-
trying to send an Eldritch Blast to the
I was-
evocation one, like it's
No,
gonna
I was
break the
gonna-
window.
I was gonna try and like
Can we
just
open the
catch.
window?
Oh yeah, can we open the window?
The windows are static windows. They don't look like they're able to be cracked open or anything. They seem to be like purely decorational and
Dang it.
not functional in the sense of airing the place out.
What if I just?
Well, we also
Like-
don't know what this is gonna do. Like,
I was gonna try.
Do we
and
know-
He's
make-
trying. That's what he's trying.
That's what I'm trying. So we'll know. Can I like
We all
cast
die
Mage Hand
immediately.
in that room and like have it interact with the evocation one? Or no, it's
Can you- yeah,
conjuration.
I'll-
Fuck, never mind. I can't. That's the one spell.
Yeah, yep. Conjuration is
No!
currently not visible.
That's fine.
But you can assume and kind of deduce based on like what I just told you about that orientation is that if you were to have all these things equidistant from each other, there's 3 missing,
Right.
and it would be equivalent to 8, right? So like the 8 schools of magic.
So I just gotta figure out how to get into that room.
Yeah.
Can we
Is
see
there a
if there's any way?
hesitation from just walking in the front door?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I was gonna say
I
we're gonna
think
walk.
we're
I'll
Makes
say
sense.
you guys, because you have your allies that you need to get back to, you continue and finish like your casing around the building, and it's similar going around the other side where there's these hollow walls that are more so like tunnels or pathways, and you can see into them on the ground floor. Like there's windows that you can see that are available to peer in, and they also peer into the courtyard. But you finish your casing around. There's no other doors other than the front doors. They're double doors.
All right, let's open those bad boys up.
Screw it. Are the front doors locked?
That's a good question. Are you just gonna try to open them?
I'm gonna walk up to him. And just
I'm gonna stand to one side and not directly be in front of the doors, and then just try and like push it
are
open.
they those funny like double doors that are really big and they have 2 normal human-sized doors that you actually
I wish. No, they're slightly large doors. They're not like massive or ornate or anything. But
Okay, I'm gonna mage hand open one of the doors.
I'm gonna knock. I don't know what you're.
so yeah.
Ah,
So
Derek's gonna walk up and knock.
all right. Yeah, you go up to like a knocker that's there.
A
Like-
knocker?
Yeah,
like
just
one of the-
yeah,
Pause.
yeah,
Oh,
door
the
door
knocker,
door
dude.
boobs.
Yeah.
door
That's
boobies.
what I'm talking about, baby.
Yeah, you go up to like a knocker, you just go knock, and you let go. Like a slight, like very, not like annoyingly high pitch, but like that slight creak of a door first opening.
Mm-hmm.
It opens on its own.
Ah,
Mm.
And
So
It opens on its own.
I guess
Derek-
I can bring
Derek
you guys to
turns
like a
around,
new
like-
image of
Derek
kind
turns
of.
around. It goes like this and like sort of like, come on in.
So while the hallways that you were seeing were more like clean, there wasn't a lot around. They were mainly just like lighting and just stonework. Going into like one of these actual towers. I guess tower isn't really the way to put it. They're not built up high, like only up to like a 3rd story essentially. But they're like kind of, this first one is more of dome shaped, but the others are like more like cylindrical, kind of like mini towers, little baby towers.
Ooh.
This is
That shit is gorgeous.
what it looks like within one of these
Whoa.
places. Walls lined with books.
Oh, is that the circle thing that we're seeing?
Damn,
Oh,
is
yeah.
anyone a wizard? This would be great for a wizard.
Yeah, this would be perfect for a
Oh, none of us
spellcaster.
I am a sorcerer. Nagib.
Derek's a nature guy. He didn't read books too often.
There are a few things, like, this is the aesthetic that's going on. This isn't exactly what you see. But yeah, I wanted, like, something that you can begin to visualize. Like, there aren't, like, a bunch of bookcases in this first entry room, but there are a couple of, like, nicely upholstered, like, couches that you'd use just for, like, waiting or sitting and reading. There's some like carved stonework on the floor and this glowing sigil in the middle that it glows. It has more of like a arcane symbology. This one isn't like conventional arcane writing Asura. It's definitely like a more complex formula, so it's not really like a like normal.
Right. It's not.
Yeah, it's like someone's like own personal design. It's more of like an artistic rendition. So it's like
Right.
you have like the very basics of magic, which are more formulaic, like a language. But then you're almost like creating your own personal language, so it doesn't like quite fit in there.
Who's doing their calc 3 homework on the?
Yeah, you're not able to read like more complex sigils.
Right. That's fine. I wouldn't expect to be able to.
And also on either side, so like to your left and to your right, like flanking this the sigil in the middle, are like two statues representing, like they look to be elven, so like they have pointed ears, and they're wearing more so like robes or togas, and each of them is holding out like a staff in front of them, but it's all part of the statue, so it's all stone. There is another set of double doors directly across the circular room. A smaller set of double doors, and then kind of to the right or to the left that would go into these passages in the walls are another door. So there's one on the left, one on the right to go like clockwise around the structure or counterclockwise. And then just a pathway straight through to those of you who have like cased around the building, that would be going towards the courtyard. This room is only about like 30 feet in diameter.
This isn't the room with all the. Is this the room with all the magic school symbols?
No,
it's
No,
not.
this is not.
That one is a bigger part of the building, but it's directly opposite. So like you'd have to go all the way across to the other side.
I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
Or attempt to, anyway.
Yeah, are you just gonna like just walk around to the other side of the room? Are you gonna like skirt around the arcane sigil on the floor? Are you gonna go over it?
Oh, it was on the, yeah, around it.
Alright, you go around it, go past the statues. Nothing jumps out at you or anything.
Okay.
Does anybody else, while we're still here in this entryway, want to look at anything in this room?
Can I just do like cursory glance like around and just see like does anything catch my eye?
Yeah, do you wanna just do like a perception check, or if you wanna like try to ascertain?
No, I don't think Elijah would be looking for anything per se. He's kind of just looking.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
No.
Rough.
And as you guys all
Indeed.
pour out, because like the first thing you notice is the floor with the sigil, right?
Mhm.
And like the statues, you're thinking of what's exactly in front of you, but in like an almost optical illusion way, where the ceilings seem to be higher than they actually are, and very similar to the like the concept art is almost like projected or imprinted with magic onto the ceiling. Looks to be like a night sky, and not like a painting or anything. It seems to have its own sort of, like some stars flicker. It seems to be in like real time.
If I do, Asra probably wouldn't know this, but would anyone in the party know if those stars in the sky match the stars in this realm, or like a different realm? Or how does that work?
All right, I think I caught that. You were kind of cutting out there.
Yeah, I
but
couldn't hear a thing.
I think I caught that. You were asking if like
Hear a
anybody
thing.
would know whether they like belong to this realm or another realm
Yeah.
by looking at it. I guess anybody. I guess like Roksana can make a. Or actually, you guys have been in Thalas Ashana for a while, so I'll let up to 2 people make like nature checks.
I'm proficient. in
Derek!
nature, I
Oh,
can
I'm trash at nature.
Oh, not good.
My nature's a 5.
13.
Damn.
All right.
I'm rolling low.
Okay.
Everybody's rolling.
These do seem to be like a projection. Well, it's very commonly overcast in Thalas Ashana. Like, it's not only seeing this beautiful starry night sky, but this seems to like look past that in a lot of ways. And it's always projecting this perfect night sky, and you can actually see many stars that you normally wouldn't be able to see. It's like setting your camera on higher exposure so that you can see even like the dimmer stars. But that's blown up for you here, and it is the night sky of Thalas Ashana.
Okay.
Derek, make a perception check as well.
Yay. 23.
Nice.
Let's go.
Okay,
Pog champ.
that's pretty good. Since you're like investigating this, and like first thing you notice is like, oh, this is Thalas. This is the night sky of Thalas Ashana, and it's like on the nights where you can see, it's very beautiful. So it's nice to see it now. It's coming from the Cerulean Garden where it's a little less like dour there. Like, it's nice seeing beautiful things as like often as you can here in Thalas Ashana. And the night sky is definitely one of them. You see all these stars. You might have seen like in one of Artiber's books at some point, like constellations and things, so you're kind of like drawing them out quickly in your mind. But your eyes are drawn to a sort of shimmer, I suppose, where in certain, if you like really focus high enough, especially in like this like higher res more or less image of the night sky, you can see this shimmer. Something like weird is going on, and you don't think it's from this projection per se, but from the night sky itself. And what you are kind of gleaning from this is, again, not the projection, but the night sky itself is an illusion. Which is weird for you, but this is why I didn't ask for a perception check from you, Roksana, because you like know of this thing's existence. You know that the night sky is an illusion here. You know that like the beautiful night sky of Thalas Ashana is an illusion, more or less, as part of something called the stellar umbra, which is used to, it's like a massive illusion that puts the domain in perpetual darkness, in perpetual twilight. Like, it's intentionally done this way to make sure like the sun never reached Thalas Ashana again. And as you're beginning to learn that, because there seems to have been a presence of like true vampires here, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why the Stellar Umbra truly exists, is because, like, at least Odrakthir is evidence of true vampires being in positions of power at one point or another.
Do I
And
see any mechanism to like move any of the stars, like the projection
don't-
at all?
You don't see a conventional, like, mechanical mechanism, but perhaps just like looking at the sigil on the ground, you can interact with it in some way.
Does it? What's
Like,
the
it looks like
sigil?
the sigil might be creating this projection.
Oh, okay. Derek goes up and like inspects the sigil and like kind of starts poking at it.
Okay, you can make an Arcana check then.
The fearless cleric.
Oh
my
God!
Oh shit!
I need to start making more dumb
That
characters,
30,
so like I can
that
just
30
poke things.
check is insane,
Damn.
and I want to reward it in some way.
What the
Which
heck?
normally, to change the projection, you would have had to go up to like the actual observatory to like change the orientation of the telescope. But I'll let you somehow, because it's being broadcast from that observatory room to like this ground floor. I'm gonna you're able to, with your magic, access that connection in reverse and sort of command the mechanical structure of the observatory from down here.
Are there windows?
What the fuck?
In this room?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Someone go find a window real quick. You see Derek puts his hand in the sigil and starts turning it.
Yeah, you kind of like walk into
Oh,
the
no.
center because it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Like the
Damn, those
sigil's like
spells
probably
didn't
like
work.
the sigil's like 10 feet in diameter. You
Oh, I see. I
kneel-
thought it was like a tiny thing that you put your hand in and go like.
Yeah, no, it's not like quite like in the
I see, I
picture.
see.
Like it's not like a podium or something. It's
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
a magical sigil in the center of the room. You kneel there and you place your hand down and you close your eyes for a second, open them, and like a flash of like blue flame come out, and the sigil turns from what was like a faint yellow to like your magnificent cerulean blue.
Mm-hmm.
And almost as if it's like a time lapse of the night sky changing.
Mm-hmm.
It begins like rotating and moving around. Is there anything you want to like look for in particular?
Does it just shift the sky, or do I get a sense that I can turn the twilight umbra or the starlight umbra?
I'll tell you
off?
this, with your connection here, this is not the source of the stellar umbra.
Okay, the stellar umbra.
But
okay.
you change the orientation of like the observatory and the mechanics of it. And I'm not going to go into great detail because I'm doing this off the cuff on the spot, but whether there's like some sort of, imagine like some sort of magical mirror in the sky, like you're like the telescope is like,
Oh, I
it's
see.
more than a telescope. Like it's able to like free its point of vision from like its actual physical position, and you like bounce off of a point in the night sky to like look down upon Thalas Ashana from a distance. And you're up high in like the mountains right now, and you're like overlooking this I guess like from here, like you're looking out into Thalas Ashana, like down into like the valleys where the Demir territory is. Like you see all these forests and everything.
Oh, interesting.
And like you're turning it around and
we got a
back
giant eye in the
towards-
sky, boys.
Like you're just looking around, and you can see like beyond. Like the mountain ranges that surround Thalas Ashana, it's fog. It's nothing.
Well, yeah, because we're trapped in a pocket domain right now, aren't we? Something like
Exactly. This is not, as you, like, it's been kind of assumed at this point, but it's definitely true. This is not, like, a real place. It's like a snapshot of a place taken out and, like, put here. There's, like, a defined boundary to this place that you're in. Perhaps, like, the reason why there's a snapshot, a memory of Thalas Ashana in the first place, is because of the Stellar Umbra. Like, the area that the Stellar Umbra covers, it had such, like, a magical impact that, like, the Great Steeping couldn't, like, quite do away with it. It was able to kind of form its own pocket dimension, its own memory of the otherworld. But, going beyond that, far over the like the horizon, there's like past the Demir territory, and I guess you're looking around. You have like the Drovir territory, the Demir territory, the Koragir territory. There's like a bunch of territories around, and you've learned some of the geography in your time here. I feel like that's one of the things you guys probably would have studied up on. And there's like the Gatvilic territory and everything, but it's like a weird sensation in your head, and everybody's head who's watching this, because as Derek is using this connection to like change the viewpoint of the telescope, it's being projected onto the ceiling so everyone can see this. It's like like a weird mimetic thing where you can tell it's hard to like really visualize it, but you can tell that there's something that's supposed to be present when looking at this projection that your mind won't let you see. And you can tell that's where the stellar umbra is coming from. That's like the reason why you're able to focus on it. You can like sense like this energy pouring out from this location. And it's especially weird to you, Roksana, because you know what your mind is preventing you from seeing. It's preventing you from seeing Rostohur,
Yeah, I was gonna
the
say
capital city of like the Jalaran territory.
that makes sense.
And the stellar umbra is coming from there, but also for some reason you cannot see it. This isn't normal. Like it's not a normal occurrence. You don't know if it's like an aspect of it, of this place being like a memory of Thalas Ashana, because you had lived in Thalas Ashana before it was a memory. Like you were dragged into this pocket dimension version. Like all the Jalaran were just shunted over here instead of into the Cerulean Garden. But you feel like even when you were here after the Great Steeping, you could still see Rostohur. You could still travel to and from it. Something wrong is going on here. And it dawns on you that, like, there's no evidence of Rostohur really being there during, like, your time, like, this current time here. It's weird, like, all roads that would point to Rostohur always end up in some other place, always end up going in some other direction. And it occurs to you again, and you've taken it as just, like, you've taken it for, like, what it was said to be, that, oh, like, because there's no Esari in the Demir family right now, like, you can't do them, you no longer can live in Rostohur, you have to go back to, like, your family's land and perform the moot there. But that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Why would they, like, send you back? Like, it's... Something has changed in Thalas Ashana.
Do I gather that that's from the Great Steeping, or was that just after the moot started?
It seems to be new since you have come back.
Okay, so because she got a little bit of like post steeping Thalas Ashana. Actually, now that I think about it, she definitely has. So like, was that different even than Thalas Ashana currently?
Yes.
Okay.
And it took this moment to kind of piece it all together, like looking at it from a bird's eye view, right? It's almost like looking at a 3D map, more or less. You're like, Rostohur should be right there. And I can't, like, my mind won't let me see it. And then you're thinking back on your time, like, back here in Thalas Ashana, and that you've never really been able to have any evidence of Rostohur being there. There's something straying your perception away from it.
Oh, so there's like it's one of those like mental block things.
Yeah.
I like the Harry Potter music too.
Do I know anyone that would have that sort of power to obscure it that heavily? I know it was hinted that it was maybe Zalad, but like, does that track, or could it be some other entity?
This? This is gonna be like a very high DC investigation check.
Alright, I will use my inspiration then.
We got you, boy.
Can I give him guidance?
Natural 20.
Oh my god!
Natural 20, baby.
Oh, sheesh. Yeah, you sip that water.
I'm sipping the water. Gotta wet my whistle.
Oh, dog. Yo.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
That's wild. That's
Two
sick.
back-to-back 20s.
Session 50, guys. This is a secret that I was supposed to like hold on to until like close to the very end of this entire arc and therefore this entire campaign.
Oh, shoot.
Spill
This
it.
is
Spill the tea, sister.
not the doing of any particular individual. As I said, something's wrong with Thalas Ashana. It appears to you, and perhaps like the center of this power, so Ras Dohur, that is keeping or like kept the snapshot of Thalas Ashana, like it kept it in its own physical plane, is failing more or less.
Oh, the power's waning. The dimension's collapsing.
Thalas Ashana is currently in the process of fading away.
Oh, that's
Oh.
crazy.
So how does that relate to Ras Dahor then? Like, is that it, like further along in fading away?
It seems like more of its power is being like used on itself, essentially. Like is being used to protect Ras Dohur from whatever non-existence is encroaching upon it. You being in like essentially consider it like the borderlands, right? So everything surrounding Ras Dohur, it's all collapsing, and you know what I said about like the fog before? You can swear that you can see it move inward ever so slightly at one point.
Fucking roaches.
That the boundaries of Thalas Ashana are growing more confined,
They're slipping.
and you can see, so not in like Drovir territory. The Drovir territory is in like, you know, like the mountain range, surrounding like the very edge of Thalas Ashana. You start to, your heart starts to beat harder, and you start to like panic a little mentally. No, it's not. There were plenty of other Esari families. What, 5 of them, right? Like Demirs, Dravirs, Korrigirs, Gatvillic, like all of that. There were dozens of like high noble families. But your mind only like lets you remember a few of them upon returning. Because many of them are no longer here.
Oh, they got eaten by the fog?
This encroaching fog
Wait, what?
is unexisting Jalaran society. The power of the Stellar Umbra is fading, and with it is the memory of Thalas Ashana. There's something that needs to be done if you are to save this place.
This is what
And
Songbird must have meant by saying I was the light to shine upon this land. Something very dark is encroaching upon Thalas Ashana, and we must do something to stop it before it sends us all into oblivion.
How does one stop an all-consuming fog?
I don't know if this was something enacted by my father or by Zalad or by an enemy. It might make this easier. We could stop them, but this seems to be an uncaring, passionless void that's just going to destroy us over time.
Well, the stellar umbra, like all stars before it, fades eventually. Even stars die. How do you stop a star from dying?
I wonder if this is the fate we were meant to endure when the great steeping occurred in the first place, and we've just been delaying it this whole time.
And something else, you mentioned Songbird and what he said to you. Another thing that Songbird was adamant about, and like why he wanted you in the first place, was to help him leave Thalas Ashana. He wanted to leave Thalas Ashana and go to the Cerulean Garden.
Oh, that's interesting. So he doesn't even know why
And
this
Thomas,
is happening.
he doesn't know, and like Thomas, I'll just like fast forward through like this conversation that goes on your mind, because, for any of you, like, Songbird is currently in Thomas's mind. He's just camping out. You get like, this is also a revelation for Songbird. He wanted to escape Thalas Ashana, but he didn't know why. It was like an intuition thing. It was an instinct that he wanted to leave. He didn't even know why. That's why he agreed to share any information that he had with you, but this wasn't information he had. It was just an instinct that he had, that he wanted to leave. And I guess this contextualizes it for him and for all of you. And how do you access Rostohur? If you are to stop this thing, it seems like you need to do something to the Stellar Umbra, right? Like to fix it, or whatever it might be. How do you get there? The answer has already been given to you. It was another intuition by Songbird, which was, in order to open the gates to Rostohur, you had to kill all of these like ancient vampires that existed within, right? They were connected in some way to it being closed off. Perhaps they're more so serving as, I don't know, guardians at this point, because, as I said before, the Stellar Umbra is trying to protect what little it can. Like, all of the surrounding territories of Rostohur be damned. And these vampires, whether they know it or not, are standing as guardians to this. Now, from Songbird's information, you already know that you have killed the 2 vampires in the Demir crypt. Songbird himself is a vampire, but as he disclosed to you, that's no longer an issue. Because it appears that there's a new, like, true vampire that exists in this domain, which is your father, according to him. Now, Odrakthir is also one of these vampires. Or at least you can assume so. An ancient Esari vampire. Still clawing and living, more or less, unliving to this day. Maybe it's a little imperative that these guardians, so to speak, are dealt with. So yeah, with those 2 crazy nat 20s,
Nice.
Those were insane.
which this is like a part of the narrative that I wasn't planning on revealing until some time. You know, it was a good moment for it. I was just gonna this was more of like a flavor thing, like, oh, like looking at the stellar umbra, like, oh, it's an illusion. Like, we already know that, but it's interesting to see it up close. I think it's much cooler because it kind of reveals like an invisible pressure now. So I guess it's a visible pressure.
We either have to find a way to recharge the stellar umbra, or find a way to transport Thalas Ashana into the real world.
Yeah.
Or let it die.
Yeah, and right now, like, interplanar travel is not possible.
Yet.
Yeah. Now, what's preventing that? What's preventing interplanar travel? You can kind of take a guess at this point. What's preventing that? It's probably the power of the stellar umbra. And right now, since you're not like within its like full protection, you're like nowhere. You're in this intermediary space between a place that's somewhat real and a place that doesn't exist. So like, it's not like really a jumping off point. It's not a junction to any other dimension. And those few times where you've banished things while here, or at least once, like I know Elijah did it, to I think it was like one of the Demir like progenitors in the Demir crypt. He banished this ancestor, and what you can kind of guess now is that when you banish something here, it's gone forever.
Oh shit!
I banished Roxana.
It ceases to exist. That would be
You wouldn't
interesting.
dare. You wouldn't dare. Good luck trying to get to Razdahor without me.
So nice nat 20s. Wasn't planning on yapping that much this session, but
Hey,
more
Yappersville.
Crazy.
tuning back in with existential dread aside, you do have a mission here, and the mission is ever more important now. At least, like the severity is here with you. You need to get rid of these vampires to do something in Rastohur.
So wait,
Odrakthir is one of those vampires. You're here to get information on how to, like...
so just to recap, we can't get into Rastohor because the vampires are doing what exactly?
Kind of like what you're able to intuit, because, like, this whole campaign, like, there's a lot of weird, like, dimensional shit going on, right? With, like,
Yeah.
great steeping and everything. I'm trying not to, like, overcomplicate it, so I'll chalk some things up to, like, intuition. Like, Songbird was able to tell you that, in order to open the doors to Rastohur,
Mm-hmm.
like, five, is it five? 1, 2, 3, yeah, five of these, like, ancient, they're, like, true, like, powerful vampires, high vampires need to be destroyed. You guys have already destroyed 2 of them in the crypts.
Yep.
Your other options include Odrakthir,
Yeah.
Roxana's father,
Roxana's
apparently.
dad.
And then there's apparently 2 others that you don't know about yet.
And how many do we need to kill to get there?
5.
5.
But there's 7.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah. Well, 6.
6.
6. We've already got 2. Okay.
So we need to go in there. We need to do that to open the gates to Rastohur. So
Oh
we
yeah,
can
also
stop the
Songbird is
stellar
one of them, as a reminder. But it's tricky. You might be able to find a way out of like your contract with Songbird, but that's what's preventing you from killing him. For
So
the time
we just
being.
need to get there to get to the stellar umbra, so we can stop the stellar umbra, or we can.
Yeah,
What are we
we-
doing
we
with
need
Stellar
we need to get to Rastohor to affect the Stellar Umbra.
What are we
Um,
doing with this? With it?
We
So
either have
dispersing
to strengthen it and restore it, or
or disperse
honestly,
it and-
well, you
Teleport.
said before of like transporting this plane to the Cerulean
Right.
Garden, which I think is a
Right.
really cool idea.
I think it's a
I don't know how
idea,
that'd be
let's just
possible,
take-
but
Let's just take Thalas Ashana
and push it somewhere else.
We already saw the big worm, so
Yeah, I'm
halfway
glad you
there in
guys
that
are
direction.
thinking of the possibilities now. Yeah. Either do something to somehow maintain the Stellar Umbra to keep Thalas Ashana in this state without it fully fading away.
I feel like doing that though is just gonna delay the inevitable because it's gonna run out of gas again at some point.
Yeah, but I don't think we can do anything to affect the whole plane until we get to Raz Dahor.
That's true. It's
Um,
not really something
my-
that's reliable, right?
My question is, does it seem like Raz Dahor is being obscured by these guardians, or is it by the Stellar Umbra just collapsing?
Trying to protect.
Yeah.
It seems to be caused by the Stellar Umbra.
It's
but
like a self-preservation thing. I would assume.
again, it might just be an intuition thing on Songbird's part, but he seems to think that like killing these vampires is a key into Rostohor. So
Yeah.
maybe they have some sort of link to Rostohor, and the Stellar Umbra maybe that
Can...
like their existence outside of it is like preventing it from being accessed or something. It's hard. It's weird and
Since we're in this room and we can see the fog, is there a way for us to tell how quickly the fog is encroaching upon the realm of...
Yeah.
I did like the little like flavor of it, like moving a little bit, like you swear it can move. It's not like going fast by any means.
Okay, so it's not like... What's our time frame is what I'm asking. Like, are we able to tell?
It's really hard to tell. Like
Okay.
you probably have time.
Okay. It's not like
But-
imminent collapse. It's
Yeah, I guess it's more so. It's not like a ticking time bomb, like Mission Impossible sort of thing.
Just, yeah.
It's more so of like I think it's more of like a stakes for Roksana than anyone, because it's the knowledge that her entire people can be wiped out at some point.
Mm.
I think what you said before, Asura, was astute. I think if we are to create permanent and lasting change, we must move this place to the Cerulean Garden. But to do so, we will have to make it to Raz Dahor. I don't see a way around that.
Agreed.
But why? Why would it require slaying those guardians to make it there?
Perhaps perhaps those 5 guardians have a link to the Stellar Umbra. Perhaps they were just directly responsible for its creation in some way, or maybe not directly. But they must have some sort of link to the
Yes,
Stellar Umbra.
there could be. In maintaining a physical form, they could be anchors of the Umbra that could be loosed upon killing them.
Something to that effect. It's possible they act as keys.
I suppose I could petition that vermin songbird again, but I'd prefer not to at this point.
Well, seeing as we're already here to find the weakness of another vampire, I think our priority should be to focus on that. Every step will get us closer. And then we can figure out later on where we'll get the unimaginable amount of power needed to shift an entire dimension into a new reality.
Yes, I think that's what we must do.
Okay. This knowledge and
Alright,
I'll
good
tell you this. On the note of killing vampires, it hadn't dawned on you, like what, like on your journey here, it was vague what Adroxa said, like, oh, there's something here, like that's probably how you can figure it out. in a weird roundabout way, it kind of makes sense, right? Why would this lead you to some sort of observatory? Well, vampires have a very strong relation to one particular astral body, right? The sun. So perhaps they have more relation to cosmic forces, and maybe this is what Adroxa was hinting at in some way or another. Why she couldn't be more direct with you is unclear, but perhaps this place, which engraved on like a plaque on one of these walls in the entryway, is the Astromantic Society of the Drovere.
That was a big word you just dropped. The Astro what now?
The
Oh, thank you.
Astromantic Society of the Drovere.
So these are the astronomer stargazer people.
Yeah, astromantic, like Mancy. You think of like magic, right?
Oh, okay.
So like cosmic magics might be what it's kind of getting at. And Drovere, weird thing, right? This indicates that this is somehow Drovere architecture, this building. Like it belongs to the Drovere, which was decidedly more in line with like old like elven, like Eladrin type architecture. Perhaps this place will provide the necessary knowledge to get rid of Odrakthir, and perhaps maybe even give you some other information on how to deal with other vampires along your way.
This place has to be old. This place has to be so old.
Yeah.
And yep.
Was the
And that's
was
where we're
the
gonna end this session, guys.
Nice.
was the nice